Hi guys, welcome back to the Artificer channel. Today I have the long-awaited build of the anti-aircraft T-3485 variant. Today I'm going to show you a build which I was able to complete last year during lockdown. Do apologise for the quality of the video, it's not ideal, but nonetheless we shall progress. So I can say right off the bat that the style of videoing that you see here, I've definitely not visited again in future because it just didn't work out well doing the time-lapse. I found that by filming it was much easier. As you can see here, what I'm trying to do is I'm trying to build the wheels onto the bottom of the tank itself. This was a really weird configuration. It was kind of like there was no nubs to put the wheels into. They were very difficult to place, so I had to use a lot of super glue, a lot of techniques to try and get them to fit properly. What I'm doing here is basically just sanding away the wheels, just making sure that they will fit. And what I decided to do was just put in 2 wheels at the front and 2 wheels at the back. Whenever I build tanks, this is how I always do it, because it just makes it easier. It looks like a car at the moment. But when you've got the front wheels and the back wheels together, you can actually slot in all the other wheels and they should line up. And if you're not sure about how they line up, you take a piece of track, as you can see right there. When the wheels are drying, you put that piece of track on the wheel so that each one of those rims of the wheel stay completely straight, so that there isn't any warping that takes place with the actual tank once it's all dried and once you go to fit the tracks on. So that's basically what I've done there. Is I've just, yeah, you can see just a nice little technique there. I completed the tracks finally. Now these were individual linkages and they were not easy to do. There was a lot of sanding involved and I used that little metal file there that I'm showing you. But as you can see, the detail is not huge. There's a few crates and a few areas which I had to fix. As you can see at the back of the tank doesn't actually fit properly, so I had to do a little bit of editing with some plastic putty. Again, I decided to use the time-lapse, which I think in hindsight wasn't a good idea. You'll be happy to know the next couple of videos, the newer ones that I've done, like with the bell, it was a lot different. You know, it is what it is, and I want to show you guys what I was building. This is the really fiddly construction of the anti-aircraft gun that was taking place here. Again, very new to this whole thing. I was doing a lot of stuff outside of camera, I do apologize. But this was a very delicate build, especially with the anti-aircraft intricacies. They were not easy to put together. And inside you had some really tiny parts. Now, I bet you noticed that the tank looks white on the front. And I'll explain that later because I had some problems with the actual moulding of the vehicle. I actually found out that after doing a dry fit, it didn't actually fit properly. So it meant that I needed to adjust it. Now, after a lot of hours of work, I was able to put together the anti-aircraft gun, double barrel, which is a really cool looking thing. The thickness on the side of the walls is a bit extreme, but I'm not really too fussed because sanding that down would have taken way too much time. So I was happy just to proceed. And in the end, I think the detailing wasn't too bad for the anti-aircraft gun. On the outside of the tank, it's really quite basic. But then again, you have to remember this is a very basic design. So as you can see there, that's the fully constructed anti-aircraft gun, and it's absolutely mullered with super glue right now. But I was quite happy in the end with the build and the way that the construction went on the top. The only issue I had was with the bottom. As you can see, it's full of plastic putty, which I had to cut back the fenders and try and shift back the whole thing so it would actually fit. Added to that, the machine gun, I had to reform the machine gun hull and the metal mantlet that goes on top of the machine gun because there was just a blob of plastic, so that needed to be sorted out. So the actual addition of the anti-aircraft turret to the tank was a bit unusual. They give you this O-ring which you have to glue down and then you have to glue the underneath. I went on to the painting phase and decided to use medium olive. I was really excited to start using Vallajo Paints on one of these models. I just started off really with a metal silver finish on the underneath, because what I wanted to do originally was create like a chipping effect. What I did was I used the Vallajo silver, and then I basically added some chipping fluid, I believe, after adding the green, which is what I'm spraying on here. This wasn't too bad. I did quite enjoy the experience. After spraying it, as you can see, I decided that it would be best to put it onto a more stable platform. So these little kind of platforms from Citadel are fantastic. I'll put a link in the description below, but they're great for 1/72 scale modeling. And then I decided to paint the bottom chassis, of course, the rest of the tank. And again, this was a pretty easy job. There wasn't really anything to it. A black coat, then silver on top, and then the main colour, which was again the medium olive. I think it works out really nice, especially for when you do weathering later on. Don't forget to do the back of the wheels as well whenever you're painting a tank. It's just those little things that will just pierce through otherwise if you don't. Also, if you notice on the back, the two exhaust pipes, I actually drilled into those because they were also flat. It's a problem sometimes what happens when you buy these tanks. They don't have ready-made holes, so you have to drill them yourselves. And of course, just a quick undercoat of the underneath of the turret, just in case there's any kind of shadowing or anything that just kind of appears. Just want to kind of complete it. And then I just popped on the anti-aircraft gun just to do a dry fit to see what it would look like. Still deciding what colour. So after painting and doing several coats and filling in the details, like I said before, I tried to do some chipping and it went horribly wrong. So I decided to abandon that and just try and put on the decals. Now, the decals they give you are the authentic ones, the 045. They're the ones that were on the turret, and I'll show you a picture here. You can see that's the historical reference that I was hoping to go for. So just adding some of the decal fix. I used the Vallajo set. There are other ones out there which I want to try out later on, but I do recommend the Vallajo decal fix and also a softener. They're really useful. And then it was just a case of just kind of pushing it around with a pair of tweezers until I was happy. The chipping's terrible in the back there, you can see it on the other side of that panel. I think when I go over and weather this, which I haven't done yet, I think I'll try and kind of marry this all together and kind of bring it to be a little bit more uniform. It doesn't look too bad, but I think it's a little bit too unnecessary, the chipping that was caused on the turret. But overall, I was happy with the placement of the decals. And there is the final product finished. I wasn't terribly impressed with the build. It was very challenging. The bottom chassis had some major issues. As you can see, the front fenders seem to be sticking out quite a lot, and that is because the actual molding of the T-34 chassis was not able to line up correctly with the rest of the body on the top and also underneath. Overall, for its authenticity and its unusual appearance, I really wanted to get this kit and put it into an interesting diorama, maybe have it firing up into the sky. What I plan to do is in the second part is I will do a really nice weathering technique and bring it to life with a lot of different ideas that I've been thinking about and working on. But anyway, thanks for watching guys, see you soon.